CTV's David Kincaid is on his way to meet up with Vancouver's urban search and rescue team and joins us live from La Place, Louisiana, near New Orleans. David, you've just arrived after quite a day of travel, I understand.
Yeah, a fairly long day of travel, Bill. We traveled from Houston, Texas down to La Place, Louisiana. And let me just give you a reference point as to where we are, because if you're anything like me, your geography of this part of the country is probably not all that good. So here's La Place, Louisiana, about 20 miles north of New Orleans. We have ventured about half that way back toward New Orleans. And what struck me most about the effects of Hurricane Katrina, where we're standing right now, we're in a gas station come casino come coffee house, perhaps propitiously named the Huddle House. But what has happened here is there's very little sign of damage. A few trees are blown over, but you go just a little bit further, 10 miles down the road, and you'll see extraordinary levels of damage. And those levels of damage that you see in Kenner, for instance, 10 miles between here and New Orleans, well, Kenner only got brushed by Hurricane Katrina. So it is almost unimaginable what we're going to see tomorrow when we make our way closer to New Orleans and where Katrina did serious damage. But as for the relief efforts and the much criticized evacuation that's going on, what this place that I'm standing in now has been taken over for is a marshalling point for all kinds of public service agencies, police, military, civilian for that matter. We have row upon row of buses that you can see lined up here across the road. They are waiting for the evacuees to come out of New Orleans and be loaded onto these buses. Now, yesterday, these buses were taking people to Houston, Texas. Well, pretty much Houston is full, so these buses are lining up to take people much further away. They're on their way to Dallas, Texas, and points even further away than that. So there is a steady stream of people coming out of the city. But what's interesting, I was speaking to one trooper, and he said what they're finding is that you'll see a knot of 200, 300, 400, 500 people in a little bunch waiting for evacuation, and they'll help those people get out, and suddenly 5, 10 times that many people will come out of the buildings or the rooftops where they've been watching to actually, they've seen there is some way of escape, and they're coming down to avail themselves of those avenues of escape. It's a remarkable, remarkable scene here. Have you met with some of those people? Have you heard some stories already? Yeah, we've had an opportunity to speak to a couple of people. I wanted to speak to this woman, Shanisha, on camera, but it really didn't seem fair that she'd been waiting for 5 days to evacuate New Orleans to ask her to wait another 45 minutes to appear with us. So she's now got on the bus with her 2 kids, and she's on her way to Dallas. But the story that she told about escaping from New Orleans was quite remarkable. She had like a little kid's wading pool, an inflatable wading pool that she was able to blow up, and she was able to put her 2 tiny children in the wading pool and then push it through what is described as putrid, fetid, revolting water that is filling up the city of New Orleans. She pushed that for some distance until she was able to get help, get transported the 20 miles or so here to La Place, and now she's very grateful to be on a bus and heading out of this hell.
And David, a lot of people watching tonight are going to want to know if you've been able to make contact with Vancouver's urban search and rescue team.
Only very briefly, Bill. We stopped at a communications center in Kenner, and we were able to contact 2 members of the Vancouver Urban Search and Rescue Team. They were the communication group that has been charged with keeping the flow of information moving back and forth, which is an enormous challenge. Cell phones don't work. We're running on generator power here, and we're 10 miles away from Kenner. So those folks were charged with the responsibility of trying to keep the lines of communication open using satellite phones and what have you. But they told me that the rest of the 40-plus members of the Vancouver Search and Rescue Team have been out deployed in one of the local parishes, which is the vernacular they use for counties in Louisiana, and they've been going door to door, or what used to be door to door, pile of rubble to pile of rubble, searching for survivors. And what our ambition is tonight and tomorrow is to connect with those members of the Urban Search and Rescue Team so that we can document more fully how Vancouver is playing a very tangible role in this humanitarian relief effort.
Great work. Thank you, David. David Kincaid reporting live tonight from Laplace, Louisiana, near New Orleans. We'll have much more from the hurricane-stricken area on CTV News, of course, over the weekend.
A search and rescue team from Vancouver is in the hurricane zone tonight, providing the first assistance some people there have seen.
Our David Kincaid is live in Kenner, Louisiana, with their story. David.
Thanks very much, Carrie. We have relocated from last night's coverage. We are now at the New Orleans International Airport. And there's good news to be had here because the airport is now open at least to military aircraft. All day there's been a parade of heavy lift aircraft and helicopters bringing supplies into the area and taking evacuees out. Before we came to this location, though, I made a move that I think you'll approve of. I went back to school. I went way back to school, to elementary school. Last night, we spent the night on the floor of the Lake Pontchartrain Elementary School kindergarten, and that was where we found the Vancouver Urban Search and Rescue Team at first light this morning. Loading up for another day in a nasty place.
Welcome to hell.
The men and women of Vancouver's elite Urban Search and Rescue Team.
Chris Battles, and I work for the City of Vancouver Engineering.
Beverly Mitchell and Vancouver Police.
My name is Bob Piersar, and I'm a Vancouver firefighter.
Chamberlain. Clark. Here. DePever.
They're going back to the Big Easy, except there's nothing easy about the task ahead.
It was pretty mind-numbing. It was almost like I can't imagine more like Vietnam going down the river and with everything burning along the banks and then doing an aerial flyby of the town. It was total devastation everywhere you looked.
Difficult, even dangerous work, but still immensely rewarding.
The mayor actually gave me a hug when he walked through the door, like somebody finally came to help us out. So we're the first sign of relief that they've seen since this whole event happened.
What's the reception been like from the people of Louisiana?
Unbelievable. It's it's hard to describe. It's they can't do enough for us. Feed us, take care of us, give us showers. They're just so grateful.
Grateful for the help the Canadians and others are providing.
Just come back safely, please.
And with that, they're gone, going places off limits to the media. So we came here, normally a stretch of the I-10 freeway, converted to a staging point for people trying to escape the horrors of their city. As military helicopters transport the seriously injured or ill, the others wait in the oppressive heat and a sea of garbage for a bus ride out. Many desperate to reconnect with their families.
I seen them Saturday morning. That's the last time that I seen them. I don't even know where they at right now. I haven't talked to them. I can't get in contact with them. I don't even know where I'm gonna be, how they gonna get in contact with me when I'm gonna see them again or anything.
Eventually, a convoy of buses arrives. The weary travelers board for the next leg of their journey. They are quickly replaced by the next wave of New Orleans refugees. Now, Kerry, the challenge was and still is to get the thousands and thousands of New Orleans residents out of the city and, in fact, better still, out of the state of Louisiana altogether. So to that end, here at the New Orleans International Airport, there are, I have no idea how many people, but hundreds, I dare say thousands of people, lines stretching blocks and blocks, waiting in line, hoping to catch some sort of an aircraft. They are here under order. They've been instructed to come here, but they've been waiting for hours in hot conditions. Some of these people have spent the last 5 days in the Superdome and are looking extremely miserable. And the most amazing part is that they have no idea where they'll wind up if they do, in fact, get on an airplane tonight.
Unbelievable and heartbreaking, David. Have you heard from the Vancouver Search and Rescue Team to find out how the rest of their day was spent?
No, these guys are working long, hard hours. We last spoke to them at about 6:45 this morning, our time. It's now 8:05 our time. They've been out in the field. They were dispatched to a place called St. Bernard Parish, which is on an eastern suburb of New Orleans, in a particularly hard-hit area, and they are finding, well, we heard from their reconnaissance mission yesterday that they were finding the going pretty heavy. Our intention is to return to Lake Pontchartrain Elementary this evening when we finished here and connect with the Urban Search and Rescue Team, find out how their day went, and once again pitch our case to see if we can be allowed to tag along tomorrow. Carrie?
Now, David, we've been hearing all sorts of reports in the media this past week that New Orleans is a lawless society, broken down society, that there's all sorts of criminal activity. You are there with photographer Steve Hughes, and Brent Gilbert is along there with you as well from here in Vancouver. We're wondering, have you felt at all that your safety was at risk?
No, not at all. In fact, let me explain how I come to that conclusion. First of all, we're pretty restricted about where we can go. One of the reasons that we weren't allowed to go with the Urban Search and Rescue Team today is because of security issues. However, speaking to people in the lineup that we showed you in our story that were lined up along International Highway 10, I did speak to some people who said, you know what, I'm really disappointed that that is the message that is going out to the world. We are speaking to people who have been in New Orleans since the hurricane struck, and they said that simply was not their personal experience. Yes, there is a bad element, but this fellow we talked to said he lives in a mixed-race neighborhood of blacks, Hispanics, whites, the entire gamut. He said he never felt at all threatened. In fact, he was quite proud of the way his city pulled together in this time of crisis, and he told me stories of neighbors helping neighbors.
Okay, well, we certainly are glad that you are safe tonight, David. CTV's David Kincaid reporting live for us tonight.
Thanks, Carrie.
When you look at the pictures of New Orleans, it's easy to wonder how the city will ever recover or whether residents will return to rebuild their lives.
Our David Kincaid went into the heart of New Orleans today to see the scene for himself and talk to survivors. Here's his report.
It's an eerie feeling driving through an essentially empty city. Downtown New Orleans is now populated by the military and the media. This is the famous French Quarter. It was spared the worst of Katrina's wrath.
The whole French Quarter, it looks like it's ready to open for business.
However, other parts of the city are still under a lot of water. This is the preferred mode of transportation on the aptly named Canal Street. And while most of the people are gone, the evidence of their evacuation is everywhere. Things that seemed important hastily packed and then abandoned at the side of the road. A few stragglers still stroll the interstates looking for a lift out of town. George Alonzo stayed behind to help his neighbors, but now it's time to go.
When they're ready to clean up, I'll be ready to come back and help them clean up and get it back together.
This is your city?
This is my city. I was born and raised in New Orleans.
These are little wives.
Same goes for Eli Davis. He's ready, willing, and able to help rebuild his hometown.
Any way I can help.
And will New Orleans come back?
I'm gonna still be here. I'm only 81.
You got no weapons, do you?
Oh,
no. We've been here since before the hurricane hit, and it's picking up. It's getting scarce now.
It's
getting thin.
Yeah, you got it, eh?
It's getting thin.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you know where these folks are going to go?
We're going to bring them to the convention center. They're going to helicopter them out to somewhere out of state.
That should suit Kawanza and her two boys just fine.
But I just want to get out of here. I don't care where I'm going. I know I'll be doing better than what I'm doing now.
I got right over there.
And then there are the people of New Orleans who have no intention of surrendering their city to Mother Nature.
It's going to come back.
You believe that?
I do believe that.
How will it be when it comes back?
It's going to be, just like they said, better and stronger.
And will you be here as part of that?
I'll be here until the duration of it. Yeah, throughout.
You're not leaving?
Not leaving. Been here since before and be here until we dancing in Mardi Gras.
And while that may sound like a leap of faith, at this point, faith may be the city's strongest ally. So as you can see, there are still people in downtown New Orleans who want to stay, and that seems to be okay with authorities. Meanwhile, in more remote parts of the city, authorities are encountering pockets of resistance, people who are simply refusing to leave their homes, and they're defending their homes with gunfire. Clearly, this is making it difficult, if not impossible, for government agencies to move into those areas and help the neighbors who may also want to be evacuated. It is still a very crazy place.
But despite all of that, David, a lot of optimism from a lot of the people that you talked to there today.
And a sea change, if you will, Mike, in the attitude or the prevailing feeling that we've encountered in and around New Orleans. There does seem to be an attitude of optimism, as you said, as though they've turned some significant corner and things are starting very slowly in tiny little incremental steps to gradually get better.
Now, as we saw in your report yesterday, you've linked up with Vancouver's Urban Search and Rescue Team. What's the latest on their situation?
Well, we bunked in with the Urban Search and Rescue Team again last night, and we'd hoped to be able to accompany them on their mission today. They're out in the eastern part of the New Orleans area in a parish called St. Bernard. We wanted to go with them. That was not possible, so what we've done is equip them with a small camera and train them in how to use it. So we will have pictures for you. We wanted to have those pictures for you now. Unfortunately, they are still in the field, but we can tell you that they had an extremely successful day yesterday in St. Bernard Parish. They were actively involved and critically responsible for rescuing 73 people, and every one of those people will be eternally grateful to the Vancouver Urban Search and Rescue Team.
Well, their work there is certainly being appreciated. All right, David, thanks very much. CTV's David Kincaid reporting live from Kenner, Louisiana tonight.
Thanks, Colleen. Our top stories tonight. Day of reckoning.
We didn't know it was going to be this bad. I don't think anybody really did.
New Orleans residents get their first look at Katrina's damage while the grim task of counting the dead begins.
First contact.
Hello, anybody in there?
Vancouver's Urban Search and Rescue Team helped many in hard-hit areas.
And the families of the team keep the faith at home, waiting for word from their Canadian heroes.
This is CTV News at 6 with Bill Good and Pamela Martin.
Good evening. The death toll in hurricane-ravaged New Orleans could reach 10,000. That's the word from the city's mayor as search and rescue personnel finally get into full swing.
CTV's David Kincaid is in the heart of New Orleans tonight in the historic French Quarter, and that's where our coverage begins. David?
Thanks very much, Bill. We are indeed in the French Quarter. This is where the world comes to experience Mardi Gras, but for the last week, this is where the world's media has come to cover the extraordinarily complex and devastating story that is the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina. Our coverage begins with Carrie Adams and an overview of today's developments, but I must warn you, some of these pictures are very graphic.
Welcome home.
In the middle of the night, a stream of cars on a Louisiana highway. Carrie Adams, CTV News.
Now, you may heard the mention that people are not paying any attention to St. Bernard Parish. Well, that is not quite true. We spent the day with a group of Canadians, the Vancouver Urban Search and Rescue Team, and they are one of the very few, if not the only, thoroughly organized professional group of search and rescue people that are in St. Bernard Parish. Now, we traveled about 90 minutes from here down to the small town of Chalmette, a town that at one time might have reminded you of Richmond perhaps, or Steveston. Small town kind of feel. It's on the river, sort of a fishing/bedroom community. But as of 1 week ago, any comparison between Chalmette and Richmond ended.
We are going to mark every block, every house.
On the ground in Chalmette, the team gets the day's orders.
We've got 4 squads of 3 to 4 guys.
Each squad will be accompanied by armed guards. Transportation is arranged by commandeering anything that runs. A few pickups and a backhoe are pressed into service. Other squads move out on foot carrying the tools of their trade. This is the team's 3rd day in St. Bernard Parish.
I think every day the water level drops substantially,
making an orderly search a lot easier. The job is to enter every building by whatever means possible to make sure there is no one trapped inside.
Anyone in there?
As they go, they gather information from local authorities still on the scene.
We had a female that passed away during the storm upstairs in the big courtroom, and we also had a black male that was found on the highway that some pedestrians brought to us and they put in there.
The Vancouver Urban Search and Rescue Team was the first on the ground in this hard-hit area, and their presence has not gone unnoticed.
I appreciate the international effort, I really do. I think it really shows, when America needs help, there's people out there that's willing to help us too.
As the team works its way through the shattered neighborhood, we get a glimpse of what it was like when Katrina came calling. The occupants of this house in St. Bernard Parish are clearly hurricane veterans. No to Dennis in 05. No to Ivan in 03. Katrina, well, it looks like Katrina was the one that got him. In fact, Katrina was, in all likelihood, the death knell for this entire community.
It's going to be less expensive to knock down the houses than to try to gut them, clean them, and build them from the inside. So I think you're going to end up just seeing everything bulldozed down here.
This entire neighborhood flattened?
The entire neighborhood, the entire town is probably going to end up being flattened at the end of this.
As they go, they mark each house with a specific code. Here, the number 2 indicates 2 bodies are still inside.
Smell. If there's people, you're going to hear them respond, right? Hopefully. But if there's dead in there, you're going to smell it right away.
The stench of decay is everywhere. It is hot, strenuous, unpleasant work, especially when the rescue portion of the mission now seems so unlikely. Even for this team, with 10 years of training and preparation, the destruction, devastation, and the loss of life here are hard to comprehend.
I went to the earthquake in Taiwan. I've been to New York City after 9/11, and this is much worse than both of those.
But for people who call this part of the world home, it is even harder to accept what's happened.
There's nothing you can prepare for. It's your worst nightmare. Plain and simple.
Against all odds, the Vancouver team comes across a few more survivors, a group of buddies who chose to stay behind to help others. Their motivation? Losing a loved one to the storm.
She was a little elderly, but she just didn't make it. She didn't. But what it did, it put a drive into me to save as many people as what we could.
In total, they saved the lives of over 250 people.
These are the heroes here.
But now they know it's time to leave, and they gratefully accept the Vancouver team's offer of a ride out of Chalmette, Louisiana. Thing to keep in mind that Chalmette, Louisiana is in no way unique. In the 90-minute drive from Chalmette back here to the center of New Orleans, we passed very little dry land. Mile after mile of flooded plains and bayou and communities. The other thing that we want to point out is the only reason we were able to make that trip is that there's an unbelievable freeway system and it's all elevated. Otherwise, there's no way we would have got to St. Bernard Parish this afternoon.
Now, David, it must be hard on the Vancouver team and their families with such limited communication.
That is the major frustration facing the team, Pamela. Communication is the issue. Nothing works. At least nothing works reliably. Cell phones don't work. Our satellite phones have given up, and even email is completely out of the question. So that makes it extremely frustrating for the members who are here in Louisiana, who are obviously keen to keep in touch with their friends and loved ones back home. But it's equally frustrating for the people in Vancouver and in the area who are trying to stay on top of the situation here in Louisiana. With that part of the story, here's CTV's Michelle Bernoro.
Hopefully he'll be home soon.
Michelle Bernoro, CTV News, Langley.
And the team wanted me to pass along a somewhat personal message to the folks back home. They are all safe, they are all healthy, they are doing extraordinarily valuable work in extraordinarily difficult situations. And Kelly, your husband Rick did an outstanding job of driving the bus through about 3 feet of water on our way to and from Chalmette this afternoon.
All right, thank you for this, David. Stay safe. David Kincaid reporting live for us tonight in New Orleans.
Good evening. Members of the Vancouver Urban Search and Rescue Team are getting some well-deserved rest tonight after an emotional homecoming at the Vancouver International Airport.
The team has returned to BC from an exhausting and heroic tour of duty in Louisiana. Their efforts documented exclusively by our CTV News crew. Tomasia Da Silva has our top story.
Tears of joy replaced tears of fear today.
You hear stories about the shootings and looting and stuff, and you just don't know.
As they awaited the arrival of their best friends, their husbands.
It's going to be so good to have them home.
Fathers.
I miss them, and I really want to see them.
And sons.
As a dad, how proud of him are you?
Very proud.
We've got 4 squads of 3 to 4 guys.
They should be. Vancouver's Urban Search and Rescue Team has done Canada proud. Smashing through Katrina's deadly wrath to find life.
Anyone in there?
And find it they did, rescuing 119 people, helping 125 others, all in 4 18-hour days. No surprise, they arrived bone tired. They've been up for more than 30 hours. Still, there's always enough energy for some love.
See ya.
They're grateful for the support, but not nearly as grateful as the people of Louisiana are to them.
They all started weeping because we were the first sign of a relief effort that came in there. So it was pretty emotional.
Sure, it was chaotic at first, scary even, but it's something this 45-member team has been waiting for a long time.
We've been waiting for this, a large deployment of the team for almost 10 years now.
So why leave now when there's still so much devastation and it costs so much, $500,000, to send them there?
Our team was getting tired. We didn't want to put them into a situation where they were going to start getting injured or sick. There's a lot of disease happening, things like that there now. So it was time for us to pull out.
Just dealing with the devastation. That's the biggest thing. Just dealing with the devastation.
So more of an emotional toll than a physical toll on you?
Yep.
Still, leaving was hard, but coming home more than made up for it.
Know that we still could have done more down there, but there's always a time, and I'm glad to be home with my family and back here and get a good night's sleep.
One last hug and kiss, and they're off. Home, likely to bed. Tomasia De Silva, CTV News, Richmond.
And joining us live now from Gulfport, Mississippi is CTV's David Kincaid, who spent the past 4 days with the Vancouver Search and Rescue Team. David's been on the move today, where another group of BC heroes is helping out.
But David, before we get to your story today, we received an email to the newsroom late this afternoon addressed to you and the crew. It's from Karen Greathouse, the kindergarten teacher in Lake Pontchartrain Elementary School, where you and the team slept. Yes, it says,
I just came back to Laplace to check in on my home and school and found your card in my classroom. I'm so happy that my school was able to house you and the troops from Canada. I've heard amazing things about the Canadian troops that came to help out. Everyone at Lake Pontchartrain was very sad to see them leave. I'm so grateful for the help Canada has given us here in Louisiana. I'm amazed that this troop made it to some areas before our own government did. She also, David, said she checked on the internet and watched some of your coverage and was blown away by it. She says, thank you all for caring so much about us and for all of your help.
Any reaction?
Well, that is very touching. Yeah, I'm very touched because we never actually got to meet Miss Gatehouse, the kindergarten teacher there at Lake Pontchartrain, but we did leave her a little souvenir. We pinned a Canadian flag to the wall of the classroom where we slept for 3 nights. So I'm quite touched that she would take the trouble to thank us in her pretty troubled time. That's very thoughtful.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, David, you have been the only television reporter covering the BC relief effort, and I understand that another Canadian relief team moved in today.
That's right, and that's why we made the journey, Pamela, from New Orleans here to Gulfport, Mississippi. We are right now at the Mississippi Air National Guard based in Gulfport, and the troops behind me have been flying, airlifting supplies, food, water, whatever is needed to the stricken communities along the coast. However, we made the drive today specifically because we did want to connect with another Canadian team that has just arrived in the area, eager to do their part in the relief effort.
You watch your fingers. Watch the line. Watch fingers.
On a U.S. naval base in Pascagoula, Mississippi, a group of Canadian Navy divers prepare their equipment with a sense of urgency.
Canada offered through the Minister of National Defence, and that at some point that the Americans accepted our offer for help, and we're here as fast as we can. The Americans are our neighbors, and they're our friends, and they're our allies, and as far as I'm concerned, they need help, and we're going to be there.
The Canadian team consists of divers from both coasts. Everything they need, everything, they brought with them from Canada. Their mission will most likely be checking shipping lanes in Gulf ports for debris sunk by the storm.
We've got a very experienced team. We have divers with 10+ years in the forces on average. We have senior chief divers that have experienced everything from a Nimrod crash to the Swiss Air disaster.
This team will likely be in the area for the next 4 weeks, so they're taking every opportunity they get to communicate with loved ones at home.
Well, hey, baby, I don't really know what to say other than I love you and I miss you, and we're just here working hard and thinking about you, and stay safe and remember to study and make sure that baby of ours gets all the nutrients it needs.
It's hard on the family and stuff, but luckily I have a loving wife and
You know, my daughter, you know, I don't think she quite understands. She'll be turning 7 in 2 days, and I'm not going to be there for her. But you know, I think they're proud of me, so I'm just going to do whatever I can to do.
I'm glad I can help out. My wife is American, and she's very proud that I'm here helping out her fellow Americans.
And that seems to be the prevailing attitude internationally, because we are now hearing stories of support from Britain, Germany, France, other members of the European Union offering unprecedented levels of support for the United States in this pretty desperate time. And I also want to add, Pamela, that we will be jumping into one of those Zodiacs tomorrow to go with the Canadian Naval Dive Team to document their efforts to help the American neighbors in the wake of Katrina.
Okay, we'll look forward to that. Now, David, you drove across New Orleans from the Gulf Coast today. What are some of the things that struck you crossing this region that you saw?
First thing that comes to mind, you don't normally see a 30-foot pleasure boat in the middle of the I-10 freeway. That was quite odd. But I think more than that is where New Orleans and much of southern Louisiana has been hit hard by flooding. The wind damage is what's most obvious here. There was a tidal surge that parked the pleasure boat in the middle of the freeway, but that surge of water quickly receded, which it didn't do in New Orleans. But what's obvious around this part of the coast where Katrina came ashore is that things are simply blown apart. Not very many large billboards survived. Gas station canopies were another favorite target, and traditional wood frame houses have been reduced to piles of sticks. It's a very different sort of devastation. I don't know that it would be any easier to deal with one or the other, although I have to think that the situation in New Orleans is certainly going to be more unpleasant because of the disease issues that is now carried in the water. But make no mistake, this part of Mississippi was hit extremely hard by Katrina.
All right, thank you for this, David. David Kincaid reporting live tonight in Gulfport, Mississippi. Colleen, our top stories tonight. Cleaning up after Katrina.
They need help, and we're going to be there.
Canadian divers do their part.
Back from the front lines.
People who had lost absolutely everything were still able to smile.
The Urban Search and Rescue Team shares its story.
And on trial for burning down the town, the surprising reaction of neighbors.
This is CTV News at 6 with Bill Good and Pamela Martin.
Good evening. We've introduced you to a group of military divers from both coasts in Canada who are in Mississippi helping in the aftermath of the hurricane.
Today they got down to business and had their first taste of what Katrina left behind. Our David Kincaid is in Gulfport, Mississippi and joins us live. David?
Well, Bill, so far most of the destruction that we've reported on has been land-based, even if that land has frequently been under many feet of water. But when Katrina came ashore, she also did a lot of damage to the many inland waterways that perforate the Gulf Coast. Today we accompanied one of the Canadian dive teams as they performed their first mission in the waters of Mississippi. An oil slick puts a sheen on the water, masking the horrors hidden below. Bodies trapped in sunken boats. Nevertheless, 2 Canadian Navy divers submerge into the fetid waters of the Gulfport Industrial Seaway.
We believe there are 6 shrimping boats that were attached together that sank during the storm. We're going to dive on that location. We're going to confirm that that's what it is, what we think that it is. And we're going to determine whether or not there's potential or indications that there are bodies still trapped inside.
This protected inland waterway is where experienced boaters come seeking a safe harbor in a storm. But Katrina was no ordinary storm.
And obviously it wasn't a safe refuge this time. A lot of them got tore up. Quite a few of them has sunk. This is their way of life, and they're ready to get back out of here. And like I said, they've been stranded in here for at least a week.
Many of these big shrimp boats double as home for the fishermen and their families.
And they said that they'd been a family of 11 on the boat, and it was getting late, and they said they'd seen them, they'd all went to bed, and they had turned the lights out on the boat. And they were watching the boat getting tossed around, and they were hollering for them, trying to find out if they were safe on the boat. And when they watched it turn over, that was the last they seen them.
Others are already back on their boats, anxious to get back to work.
I'm ready anytime, but you see right now, probably take for a little while,
But they can't until the channel is cleared. the dive team knew the conditions here would be bad in every sense of the word.
The best example would be chocolate milk. It's pretty much like maybe a foot fizz, but mostly be tactile for searches.
There's an agent response exposure relationship between the divers and the water. So they're exposed to it, and then later on they may be a response based on what they're exposed to. We have decontamination procedure we're going to do in the boat as soon as they come out of the water, and then once we get back to the trucks, we'll get them decontaminated again, and back on base, then we'll scrub them down and make sure they're all clean.
But the reality is worse than imagined. The visibility is zero. The area around the submerged boat's a death trap of tangled nets and ropes. The risk to the divers is too great, so the team leaves the area, at least for now. After all, there's no shortage of other locations where their expertise can be put to good use. And those guys will be back on the ground and on the water here in Mississippi for at least the next 4 weeks. Bill?
David, what has it been like for you to witness such devastation for this past week?
Well, I must say that seeing it firsthand is different than watching it on television. Being here has been an extraordinary, dare I say, life-changing experience for me. I believe it has been for my cameraman Steve Hughes and producer Brent Gilbert as well. Everywhere we've gone in Louisiana and Mississippi, we've encountered people who have lost their homes, they've lost their livelihoods, and in some cases, they've lost their loved ones. And yet, to a person, every one of those people has gone out of their way to thank us for being here, to thank us for telling their stories and getting their message out to a broader audience. However, now we believe it's time to leave. It's time to allow the people who have suffered such tragedy and devastation at the hands of Katrina to start to mourn, to start to grieve, and to start to rebuild, at least without the glare of our media spotlight.
Well, David, thank you. You've done a terrific job, all of you, and we look forward to having you back home very soon. Dave Kincaid, live tonight in Gulfport, Mississippi.